No longer are the days that a high school diploma is enough. We need to think about those college applications and be like, what is it that I'm offering in my classroom, in our schools that are making our kids stand out in those opportunities? And that's the least that we can do as the adults.
You are now listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with your host, Jorge Valenzuela.
This is education coach Jorge Valenzuela. Welcome to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast, where I provide all educators, whether instructional leaders or teachers, tips on how to be their best both personally and professionally. Now let's get into it. Welcome to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast. My name is Dr. Jorge Valenzuela. We're here today with an incredible educator, my new friend, Stephanie Lugo, also known to many people as Miss Robotics. I first learned about her work on Instagram, and I met her at the FETC conference in Orlando. By the way, big shout out to Jen Womble and her team. Stephanie is a leader in STEM education, helping many schools and communities build meaningful, high engagement learning experiences that open up doors for many kids. She's from the boogie down Bronx, as am I, so you know I have a lot of love for her already. Stephanie has made a huge impact in robotics and computer science education, and I immediately knew I had to have her on the show. Much love and respect to you and for your work. Stephanie, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, George. When I saw you in FETC, I was definitely inspired and I knew we had to do something together. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate that. Stephanie, when students first walk into your classroom, what mindset or belief are you trying to build in them about STEM before any technical skills even begin?
I love that you said that because a big part of the curriculum is neuroscience. My emphasis is always to go to schools of kids that look like me. I believe in all children, of course, but I was born in Puerto Rico, raised in Miami in Title I schools. Our first mattresses were from the garbage. So I know what it is to come from nothing. So when my students come into the classroom, I want them to change their mindset because it all starts in the mind, as you know, without them even knowing they're doing practices like from Joe Dispenza and neuroplasticity, because the beauty of the brain is that it keeps on evolving, right? It's not stagnant. Before I do anything, it's all about changing the way that they think about the subject, but most importantly about themselves. That's what we start with.
Being that you got that deep, I'll get a little bit deep for my audience. I typically don't talk about these things, but I think it's very relevant. I was in a group home in New York. I did not live with my family. I never really had all those positive voices in my head telling me that I can achieve and that I can be great and all these things. So I didn't really develop self-esteem and confidence until much later in life. And if you look at the literature, if you look at the research, the thing that intimidates people more than anything, even more than meeting God, is to do any type of public speaking. Those of you that follow me, you see that every day I'm very comfortable looking into a camera and speaking into it. And I will have to tell you guys, it took me years to develop that skill. Not just the skill, but the mindset and being brave and the courage and then the confidence. And then the skill came after that. I'll be having a birthday soon, as somebody else is. I can honestly say, I wish I would have known all of this back then. So I love that you said that you're teaching young people how the brain works.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of young people, in particularly from our background, Latino, Hispanic, African American, think that STEM education isn't for them. What are the early signs you look for that a student is starting to shift from doubt to confidence?
Well, the first thing that they do is, Miss, are you sure I could do that? Like, I show them robots and drones because we do middle robotics and coding and high school drones. And they're like, Miss, I'm scared of breaking it. And I was like, it's okay for you to break it. I want you to break it because even in making mistakes, you are growing and you are learning, right? The way that I know that they're changing their mindset is when they're teaching each other. When you have new students coming in and they're like very enthusiastic and proud of the environment, because I believe in student-centered environment. No more are those days that education is stagnant of 100 years and then all of a sudden it's only the teacher. It's really about the students. That's how you know they're really learning. As a matter of fact, we recently had Robotics Family Night where we had 10 stations from drones to coding. And the students were teaching the parents in those stations. I really believe it's about generational wealth, right? And generational wealth is not only money, it's about knowledge. That's how I know when they take that ownership and they're starting losing the fear. And that's how I know I'm doing my part because it's about a mission.
All right, so you just took me back down memory lane. So back a long time ago in my district, we used Vex Robotics. I believe, and I might be saying this wrong, so you correct me. First, we had the EV3 robot, and then we
Yeah.
had the Vex 5.
Yeah.
And I remember young people being very intimidated by these designs because they had metal, unlike Mindstorm's Lego, where it was just plastic.
Yes.
I too saw that they would become very confident when they started to help each other. And even if they didn't have all the terms, but they had the know-how, I knew if they can learn it themselves and show another person, then that means that they actually learned it.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you a question. How are you factoring artificial intelligence into this?
I'm surely incorporating it because I believe in the foundations being built, especially for middle school. When we had COVID, we had a lot of learning loss. I teach them to use it as a tool, like a faster search engine, but not necessarily as a replacement, because we want our students to continue getting smarter and not becoming dependent on it.
If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button and share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues who are interested in self-improvement through lifelong learning. And now for a word from one of our sponsors.
We had the pleasure of listening to George this morning on project-based learning, and he shared his story that his aunt encouraged him to go into education. And she was absolutely right. He is so talented at sharing information in a way that is easy to digest and is inspiring to go back and actually implement and make change.
So my takeaway is that Mr. Valenzuela was very inspiring. He was very motivational and helped me to think about a new way of getting my teachers excited.
When I set out to do a workshop, my key deliverable is energy. And this momentum is used to make connections, inspire, educate, and ultimately transform the audience so that they're compelled to take that same energy back to their schools and communities. And although we have fun, we tackle the hard topics of today, like educational policy, pedagogy for improving curriculum and instruction, and empowering today's students by connecting our work to the needs of the workforce. So please consider Lifelong Learning Defined for your next keynote, workshop, or conference, and overall instructional and educational coaching needs. My name is George, and I hope to connect with you soon.
We would love to have him come and do some work with us and help us be a little more successful and help our students to be more successful.
From your experience, what separates a strong STEM educator from someone who just knows the content or is acting like they know? I see a lot of those out there.
The beauty about STEM is it's forever evolving. Teachers that believe that their curriculum is going to stay the same for years to come, especially STEM, they're imposing their fears into the classroom.
They're bugging.
Yeah, I started in STEM almost 10 years ago. I became fascinated with drones, and now I'm getting into aviation because everybody's focused on the ground and we have to be focused on the sky. We need more people like us up there and more opportunities for our kids. For the teachers that are stagnant, I really encourage them to evolve because whatever we are learning, we're giving back to our community. At the end of the day, we're adults and our lives are pretty well. We need to make our kids marketable. No longer are the days that a high school diploma is enough. We need to think about those college applications and be like, what is it that I'm offering in my classroom, in our schools that are making our kids stand out in those opportunities? And that's the least that we can do as the adults.
I completely agree. I'm not sure if Cody Sanchez said this. Maybe I'm wrong. On the spiritual level, we're all equal. But in the marketplace, we are not equal. It all depends on your mindset, skills, and what you can offer a company. My wife actually works for big tech. The people that contribute to the organization, meaning they help not just with technical skills, but also bringing in the clients. Those are the people that actually stay. It's not just having technical skills, it's having people skills and being able to maneuver in rooms that are children that look like us. I haven't been privy to. That's really important. I really respect that, Stephanie. In fact, I just have to pause here. Educators, it's very important if we teach children of color. We have to teach them how to move in rooms where success is. We have to teach them those right skills and the mindsets and how to advocate for themselves. One of the biggest points of advocacy that I would say is knowing what to do to be future ready.
I agree.
Stephanie, what is the most common mistake schools make when they're trying to launch or grow a robotics or STEM program?
That's a tricky question. I don't want to focus on other schools. I want to focus on mine, South Bronx Charter School for International Culture and the Arts. I've worked in different schools throughout the years. What makes this one special, apart from my kids, is my executive director, Evelyn Hay. What I'm creating inspires me more because of how innovative and visionary she is. She's not scared. I think what a lot of schools do is, you have an idea? Okay, give me the money. She's like, you have an idea? Let's go find the money. We find opportunities. Whatever is for the kids, she's all about it. I think that's where a lot of educators lose their inspiration and their drive, because they really want to do things out there for the kids, but because of budget and money and politics, that is gets shut down. I wish more schools will have an Evelyn Hay with them.
Big shout out to Miss Evelyn if she's watching. Hopefully she'll be watching.
Yeah, right.
One of the ways that I was able, when I had your job, to secure a lot of grant funding is by showcasing what I'm doing with kids on social media.
Yes.
When
yes.
you showcase your work on social media and you can get kids talking like you and you are out of the way, that is all the proof you need.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
I would start all of my meetings, even on Capitol Hill. When we went to go speak to our delegates, I would say, hey, can I bring my kids? And we would have a table out there. And they'll have their Vex Robotics out there and their Project Lead the Way projects. When I would do that, I would automatically get the ear of the people that I was looking to ask for money or to impress.
Yeah, they are the future. And if they're into what you're teaching them, then you must be doing something right.
Stephanie, how do you teach students to handle failure and debugging without shutting down or losing motivation?
I always play the role, of course, as the educator and the adult. My story is a little bit different because I am in social media as well, because I have my company. So they also see me through there. I always say that there's a Miss Lugo, there's a Miss Robotics, and then there's Stephanie. They know Miss Lugo. They respect Miss Lugo. They see Miss Robotics from afar, but they also see a glimpse of Stephanie in a very professional, adult way. I'm able to explain to them when I've made mistakes myself, or maybe when I've had to step back and apologize myself. We practice restorative practice. We do circles. We had 2 competitions recently, and we have one next week in Hewitt. So we reflect a lot. And I also say in things that I would do better. So I think as adults, we need to do more, is show the kids that we are human, and also show them what happy adults look like, because society doesn't show that, especially to kids that look like us.
Yeah.
It's putting myself as a human.
I like what you said, and that reminded me of my mom. My mom was a tough character, and we're going back to like 2013, 2014. She was at my house. I had scolded my son. He's 20 years old now, but he was little back then. And I was wrong about it. And I actually said, hey, son, I'm sorry. She was like, oh, you got soft since you left New York. And then something crazy happened. She realized that my kids were in front of her, and she switched like night and day. He's a better parent than me because I would never apologize. I think that by doing that, we access the humanity in children and anybody watching that might have it covered up because of the environment.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button and share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues who are interested in self-improvement through lifelong learning. And now for a word from one of our sponsors. I move around a lot of schools, and we're seeing a huge disconnect. A lot of teachers that have come from non-traditional pathways, especially in the past few years. And so just interactions, expectations is really the first step. All of my teachers, raise your right hand, and please repeat after me. I promise that I will speak positivity into my students. All of my administrators, all my directors, all my principals, all my coordinators, raise your hands, please, your right hand, and repeat after me. I promise that I will speak positivity into my faculty and staff. Thank you. Stephanie, what skills are students really developing through robotics that people outside of the field don't know about?
I like to dive into the right and left hemisphere. Like, not a lot of classes dive into both. That helps them evolve when it comes to critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, like social skills. These are all skills jobs are looking out for. out there, they don't get to do in other activities. When it comes to our classroom in robotics, they're always working in teams. But for me, it's very important for them to choose their team and also their role. So you have the team leader, the coder, the engineer, and the journalist. The students get to choose themselves. But if you look at it from the outside, it seems like, oh, it's just a job. No, it's ownership. It's them knowing that if they're absent, their team feels it. They're missed. We've actually seen attendance go up when we have robotics. Those are amongst the things that they're able to explore.
I could definitely relate. I would always make sure that my kids had a role. I wasn't as advanced as you because this was a while ago, but we had the program manager, software developer, and then the coder. And when we did robotics, then we had the programmers.
Yeah, I love that.
Stephanie, if a school leader is listening or watching, wants to improve their STEM culture starting this semester, what are the first 2 moves that you would tell them they need to make right now?
I would say, what is their ultimate outcome? What is it that they want to accomplish? I always think, like, what's the bigger picture, and then go back. And also, if the teachers that they have, like, what's their mindset on it? Are they excited about it? I really believe the person teaching it needs to be inspired. If they're not inspired and excited, then the kids are not going to be. It doesn't matter what material you have. They need to have the passion.
What a perfect way to end the show. Stephanie, let's put this up to God. How can people contact you so you can speak at your school, conference, or event?
My best way is through Instagram. I have ms_robotics, or in my website, also miss.roboticsloc.com. I'll be happy to go anywhere. I travel everywhere.
That's it for this episode. Until next time, this is the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast.
Whether you're a teacher or administrator, you lead by walking alongside your students and your staff. You teach them what to do, you model for them. Let's say you're in a situation where you don't know what to do and you bring in a coach or a resource, you learn alongside them. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the second thing is this. Give your people feedback, not pushback. Whoever you push back on, whether physically or verbally, they're going to do it right back immediately. And if they're intimidated by our position, our status, they're going to do it behind our backs and ruin our programs. My guy. I want to leave you on this note. Trajectories can be changed. When I was in 10th grade, here's a snapshot of who I was in 10th grade. There's a rapper named Rakim. I'm not sure if you guys know about Rakim, but he used to say, it's not where you're from, it's where you at. And I played that on my headphones at 16 years old every day until I believed it. And I'm showing you this because I'm seeing versions of this throughout American schools. This is your reality of what you have to face. If I can do it, any kid can do it, but they have to work hard. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with Jorge Valenzuela.